Hi, I'm Anita Adams. I am with First Weekend Club, and I am here at Berlinale and the European Film Market with producer David Miller. Welcome, David.
Hi, thanks.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course.
So you are a producer that has quite a number of credits. You've done a lot of and I've been watching your career with a lot of interest over the years, and you've done a number of shorts and a number of award-winning feature films, and a couple of my all-time favorite films, including Amal. When I first saw that film, I fell in love with it, and more recently from the same director, Sidahar. And Blackbird, of course. So 3 films that First Weekend Club was passionately getting behind to support because we absolutely love them.
Couldn't thank you enough for that, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, continue to make great films, and we'll be there with you.
I love it. That's great. Yeah.
Well, I was curious about your choices because you seem to have a real knack at finding some really fantastic Canadian films. So what do you look for in a script when you decide to get behind it?
Well, first of all, kudos to the directors. The creators. That's really who I get inspired by. I think for us, the biggest thing with our company, A71 Productions now, it's script. For me, it's always script. I think sometimes we rush development in this country. I think sometimes I try to work with people that really are passionate about telling stories and stories that really inspire people. I think that's really, our film too, we just did, it was You, Charlie, Manuel Sherini, and that filmmaker, he's the same kind of guy. I mean, we kind of latch on to these storytellers that really believe in telling, good stories. And that's really what we look for.
So it's the people behind the projects and their ability to tell a good story, obviously. And
their work ethic behind them. Richie, he's a fantastic writer, obviously. He's gotten 2 nominations for what he's done with Siddharth and Amal. And he's the same guy. He's passionate, and he continues to write that story until it's ready to go. And I think that's what we look for, yeah.
So when you say continue to write that story until it's ready to go, how many times does the story need to be written and rewritten before it's ready to go?
I think Richie would say that he wrote 30 drafts of Amal.
30 drafts.
But sometimes they're tweaks. But and this is the same kind of thing. This is it's the dedication to tell good stories. And I think their dedication is inspiring, and then that's when we dedicate ourselves to produce the same way that they've written the script. I think that's what we really look for, is a good script. Yeah.
Talk about that work ethic a little bit, because I've met a number of emerging writers that feel that they have a script that's ready to go, after the first draft, and almost seem a little stubborn about their project and not willing to take advice or criticism on the next step. And I don't know if you have any advice that you can give to those emerging writers on what it really takes to get their scripts produced and picked up by somebody like yourself.
Well, I call it creative compromise.
I like that.
I think I came out of film school, and I actually thought I was going to be a writer. I wrote scripts, and I know the dedication and how hard it is to do it. So I have an amazing amount of respect for what writers do. I also learned that I'm better off producing and taking good ideas and then putting them on screen and helping that process. So for me, I think it's just dedication and being open, though, to comments. And sometimes you'll think you've got the perfect script and someone will give you some advice and you should listen to it. And I'm not saying everyone is right, or I am, or anything, but that's what I mean about there's never a note that I will give a writer. Richie's a great example, Emmanuel's a great example, that I don't think that they wouldn't at least listen to. And even if they think it's a stupid idea, at least it's out there and it's something we can discuss, so.
I imagine you must have to find the best champions and people that you can value their input, because everybody's got an opinion. How do you take what Joe Blow has to say compared to somebody else that has another opinion? You got to be able to figure out what comments to get rid of and what to hold on to, and that's got to be challenging for writers.
Well, sometimes if they have a $1 million check, it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, you can be persuaded.
It's an interesting note, but I think in the end, I think there's never a bad comment. There's only the understanding of if you're really entwined in telling your story, then what comments make sense and what they don't. I think, and that's for every writer and for every creative team. I always think of it as a team.
Yeah.
So
Are
That
you
$1 million check, I mean, it makes a difference sometimes.
are you a creative producer as opposed to a regular finance producer, or maybe you can talk about the difference between the two?
I think I am. I mean, obviously, I give notes on everything. I read every draft of every script. I think that I'm involved because I love telling stories, and that's why I do this. So I think so. I'm also the financial producer. Like I put all the money together. We put the package together. Sometimes I don't put all of it together, but we have the relationships, and that's how we do it. So I mean, you know, I would think I'm kind of this weird group where I do both things. And I think our company is all based that way. Like, we have now a distribution company, but we have a marketing side and a production side. And I think our whole A71 as an umbrella is all creative all the time. So I hope we offer everything. Yeah.
As a final question, do you have any words of wisdom that you can offer writers when they're trying to get their projects into the hands of a producer?
Determination. Make sure, though, when you come to a producer who is able to help trigger some financing, that you have your best foot forward. Don't hand them something that you think is almost there or maybe there, and just be clear about your story and how you would be able to pitch it and have a good understanding of it. I think that's really what we look for.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, we're here again with David Miller at Berlin Alley, and we're keeping an eye on Canada. Thanks, David.